Years. Former Formula One champion Alan Jones and Glenn Seaton will be in the driver's seat. And finally tonight, excuse me, while Jim Richards and Mark Scaife held on to provisional pole, one of the fiercest battles ever fought at Mount Panorama raged behind them.
The twin turbocharged Nissans fired their best shots early today, claiming a demoralising first and second on the starting grid and leaving their opponents to scrap only for the minor places.
They're well and truly on the pace, as you've seen over the last couple of days, so what their beef is, I really don't know.
But this afternoon, Johnson put it all on the line, flinging his Ford Sierra around Mount Panorama to split the Nissan onslaught, claiming a best time of 2 minutes 14.5 seconds, only 0.2 of a second behind Scaife. Even more surprising was Larry Perkins, winner of last month's Sandown 500, who put down one of the fastest laps ever by a Holden to take third place, just 0.03 of a second behind Johnson. When the dust and the flames from John Trimble's Holden cleared, there were 3 Nissans, 3 V8 Commodores, Glenn Seaton's new Falcon V8, Tony Longhurst's BMW, and only 2 Sierras in the top 10. And all were separated by just 2.3 seconds. For most of the other teams, the common enemy has become the Nissans. Their only hope, they say, is that the car they call Godzilla will break on Sunday.
Is when Ford ruled the mountain, Falcon GTs were the epitome of Australian high performance. Muscle cars bred to win Bathurst.
To win the 1974 Hardy Proto 1000.
The GT went out of production in 1976. But this year, the car's 25th anniversary, Ford has revived the legend with a collector's edition valued at $62,000. The new GT has been dubbed the Executive Express, designed to win wallets, not races.
It's beautiful. It is quiet, it is smooth, very, very quick in both acceleration and in top speed.
But GT enthusiast Paul Carthew says the old models were so fast they were frightening. The 90s reincarnation is quick, but not spectacular.
You just wish it had a bit more horsepower so it could scare you and it doesn't get as mobile as the old cars used to.
Wheels magazine says Australia's fastest car is still the Group A Commodore. The fire-breathing Falcon GT, just a fond memory.
Hardy Proto 1000.
Steve Barnes, 7 Nightly News.
Now that old rivalry's back with a vengeance. Janine Hosking has an exclusive preview.
Back a couple of decades ago, there was just one choice a real Aussie man had to make. Which V8 to buy, a Holden or a Ford?
Oh, hello there. You wanted to know why I bought a new Falcon. Well, I'll tell you.
And just watch that Monaro move as you pour on the power. This Holden Monaro really loves the road.
But when I really thought about it, what I wanted most was a modern car. I don't want anything that isn't the best that this day and age can offer.
The Monaro GPS 327, powered by a 327 cubic inch, 250 horsepower, 4-barrel Carby V8 engine.
And the stoush continues. Today, Ford released its new Falcon GT, $64,000 worth of what a true petrol head would describe as pure muscle. Holden has joined the V8 battle with a vengeance. It released today the new $55,000 Holden GTS.
I've driven the Holdens before, and these particular cars, the Falcon GT, in my mind, is the best sports performance car of its kind.
Well, the cars may have changed, but the sentiment hasn't. In the red corner, Ford man and racing hero Dick Johnson.
These particular vehicles were virtually built, I think, to attract the gentleman that would have loved to have had a GT Falcon back in the early days and now has the position to be able to afford it.
And in the blue corner, John Harvey, former racing driver and Holden PR man. Why is it the best?
Well, I guess it's probably the most technically advanced Holden that Holden Special Vehicles have produced thus far.
Monaro, there's a thunder down the street. Monaro.
Back in Dick and John's parking days, the choice was simple. A Monaro man was the best catch in town. unless, of course, his rival drove a Ford.
Ford, let it lead the way. Come and bring.
A Ford man always got the girl. Both men went out of their way to woo me.
Well, Dick, here she is, the new baby. What's so good about her?
Well, basically, the aesthetics of the car, which is the exterior, has been done in a wind tunnel.
Performance-wise, they have the same output, 200 kilowatts, so there shouldn't be too much difference there. They have a slightly wider tyre and wheel combination. In terms of cornering performance, I guess Dick and I could probably explore that to the limit, but the average person
John,
wouldn't.
the bottom line, John, is yours better?
Oh, I think so, but it's a little bit early to say.
So what happens when a biased Holden man gets to test drive a new Ford and a Ford icon roughs it in a Holden?
That's it, pal.
There you go.
On with you.
So, Dick, the Ford man inside the Holden, are you feeling comfortable?
Well, you know, the amount of leg room that one has, and like, I'm a reasonable sized person, and I like sitting back a long way in the seat, and the Falcon tends to have a little more leg room down below here where I can stick my feet.
Dick gave Holden's V8 the thumbs down when it came to steering.
But the steering's funny on this.
So that...
It is bloody terrible.
Meanwhile, Holden man John Harvey was doing his best to stay polite about the Ford.
He said the Holden wasn't basically in the same league.
Oh, I think saying that we're not in the same league is probably going a little bit too far.
He thought that the Holden was a wimp's car.
No, I wouldn't say that. No question that it is a wimp's car. I think the Ford certainly, with its exterior styling, says "look at me," whereas the Holden is obviously more subtle.
Automatics is not the sort of car that I like driving because you haven't got the complete control that you normally have with a manual car.
I think the Holden's handling and ride quality is better. In fact, much better.
When you said you haven't got complete control, I'm assuming that you do have some control at this point.
Well, yeah, I got complete control at the moment. I sincerely hope I have, otherwise we're in a fair bit of trouble.
How would you rate the Holden out of 10?
I would say probably a 6.5.
John, the moment of truth, how would you rate the Ford?
Out of 10, I'd give it 7, maybe 7.5.
Very generous, considering that Dick gave the Holden 6, and when he was feeling a little bit generous, he said 6.5.
6.5? He's got to be joking. I mean, I think Dick's gone a bit loopy in his old age. 6.5? I mean, the Commodore's got to be at least 8.
And so we return where this story began. John motored home in his Holden, and Dick's sponsors could rest easy. He was back in his Ford and still doing wheelies.